Hi everyone. I just want to give a summary of what went wrong with our truck slash engine on SICKSUMMER 2025. So a few different things. There's basically like 4 to 5 main things that went wrong with the engine. We'll start off with, first off, actually, I just want to give you guys this summary because you've probably seen my other videos where I kind of go through some of the diagnostics of it, the things we were finding wrong. Some of the stuff, it made sense at the time. Some of the stuff didn't make sense. So I want to do this video just to give a final conclusion of what I think went wrong and things that I have to fix. Now that I got all the facts, again, just want to give you guys the rundown of everything that went wrong. So number one was a bad tune. So I had put a flex field tune in this thing, and lo and behold, there was one setting that was wrong in that tune. I screwed one setting up. So that was problem number one. The thing was never going to run correctly, and if it did run correctly, I probably was going to wreck something. So number two, the intake was leaking oil into the intake ports of the cylinder heads. So what I thought was a fueling issue, which there was probably a slight fueling issue the entire time because of the flex fuel tune being wrong, but there was still an issue with oil getting into the intake runners on the cylinder heads. For whatever reason, the intake gaskets were leaking oil. And I noticed that once I took it apart, once I started looking at it, I could see the oil trails going right into the ports. I could see the oil in the ports. I could see oil in the downpipes, literally running out of the downpipes. And so that tells me that it was sucking oil. It's got a 16th inch gasket on it. And I think in the future, I'm going to move to an 1/8 inch thick gasket. We'll try that out. That's a whole nother story. I won't get into that too much. But regardless, it was sucking oil into the intake. So that was number two. That was what was fouling out the plugs, I believe, because I kept fouling out plugs. That was a fouling issue. Also, another issue worth noting here is we found, after taking things apart, we found that the throttle body screws that hold the throttle body to the shaft were backed out and loose, and it was actually holding the throttle blade kind of off kilter. So that explains why we were having some tuning issues at idle and had to keep adjusting the idle. I thought it was very strange that it was doing that. So I think in addition to the intake gaskets leaking, it was also had a leak with the throttle body through the blades. So I had always wanted to weld the screws in the shaft to hold them tight, just kind of forgot about it. But anyway, when we were dissecting this thing, we did find that the throttle blade was loose on the shaft. So there's that. That was another issue. And the number 3 issue, I couldn't make boost. If you see my other videos, I may have alluded to the issue of not making boost. I don't think we made more than a solid 5 pounds of boost the entire time. Anyway, figured out that the compressor housings were completely loose, and thus the reason I was adding springs to the wastegates to try to overcome that issue. And it was a boost issue. So number 4, and this I didn't realize until I decided to take the heads off of the engine. And what I ended up seeing was I had a broken outer valve spring on the number 4 intake valve. So that was, I believe, my knocking issue. Initially, I thought maybe it was, a bearing. I thought maybe it was the pistons touching the heads. Ended up taking the lower half of the engine apart and ended up finding two bad rod bearings They weren't thrashed to the point of I felt that they would give me a knock, but they were on their way out either way. So I ended up taking the bottom half of the engine further apart once I had it out of the truck, and I found there was 4 main bearings that had some scarring on them. So either way, we had bad bearings in the engine. But after looking at the cylinder heads and finding the valve spring, then I knew right then and there that was where my tick or my knock was coming from. And you couldn't hear it outside the vehicle. You could hear it inside the truck. But so lo and behold, that was one of the biggest issues. I believe that was a huge part of the problem the entire week. So between the intake sucking oil and the broken valve spring, those were the two that ultimately took us out of competition. So we're in the process of the rebuild right now. We're going through where we put new valve springs in, we put new locks, we put new retainers in. We're doing all that stuff. We're going to slide some new bearings in. Luckily, the crankshaft, it looks perfect. I mean, there's no blemishes, there's no issues on it. So we're going to slide some new bearings into it. And also looking back, you know, when I realized I had an oil consumption issue, that's where the oil was going. It wasn't burning it with the piston rings seating in. It was definitely the intake sucking oil. So again, looking back, that was the two issues that ultimately took us out of competition. And we'll get those things fixed up, get this thing back together, and get some tests and tunes on this thing, and get where we need to be. We need to be in the 7s, and that's where we should have been all week. Unfortunately, we just couldn't make it happen. And these little issues just all compounded. And yeah, we just couldn't run the number. We'll come out swinging next year, SICKSUMMER 25 or 26, and hopefully we can get something done then. But I just wanted to put this video together just to tell you guys exactly what had happened with the engine. And it honestly, it could have been worse. Could have been better to completely finish the event, but it could have been worse as far as damage goes with the engine. I mean, we could have really wrecked something. And with what happened, it's pretty minor in the big scheme of things. So we'll get that all fixed up, get it put back together, and be ready to go again. So boost issues, oil fouling issues, flex fuel tune issues, broken valve springs, and bearings. Those were all the issues. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this video off. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.